storage.
Why should you join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Why, you ask?
Yeah, why?
Why join?
The Republican Party is the party of common sense.
Common sense.
Republicans support the Constitution.
Republicans protect your rights.
We fight to keep your children safe.
We fight to keep boys and men out of girls' and women's sports.
We fight to keep boys out of girls' restrooms.
We fight for you.
What does the Republican Party do?
We help Republican candidates get elected.
Why is it important to elect Republicans?
Why is that important?
Why?
Tell me, why is that important?
Livingston County is one of the safest counties in Michigan.
Livingston County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state of Michigan.
Livingston County has the lowest tax millage rate of all 83 counties.
Republicans work to balance the budget.
Republican legislators vote against raising your taxes.
Republican elected officials believe in transparency.
Republican clerks run elections with integrity.
Republican trustees protect your rights.
Republicans support our veterans.
Who can join?
If you are conservative, we want you in our party.
All conservatives are welcome at our table.
Join our activities.
Join the fun.
Become a member.
Join us now.
Hi, I'm Deb Drick, Chair of the Livingston County Republican Party. Our conservative message has been very well received in Livingston County, and I'm so happy to share with you that people are stepping up right and left to help. The only thing's missing is you. Come join our mission. Come join our fun. Go to livingstonrepublicans.com and click join. You'll be glad you did.
Welcome to The Right Side. And with me now is the brand new 7th District Chair, District 3, Livingston County Commissioner, Frank Sample. So welcome, Frank.
You're very active in the American Legion.
Correct.
You're very active in the VFW. This ideology is very damaging to the students who are told if you get this surgery and make do the social transition, the medical transition, then you'll be happy and all your problems will be solved. Learned so much.
I'll bet. That's some institutional knowledge right there. And we have, as a special guest, as I said earlier, we have Kevin Rinke with us. Welcome, Kevin. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Go Vogue. Thanks, Kelly. There are no shortage of them. We love meeting new people.
Right, yes.
It's in good shape, so that's good news.
That safeness is not afforded to every citizen. They are special.
There's a difference between men and women. There's a biological difference, and it's time for us to stand up for our girls.
He went through, and he came back with reports that there's no way Detroit can meet its obligations on the tax base.
Yes.
So is this DEI focused just on the high school, or are they talking about all
district, the entire district?
Maybe that's kind of normal. It's really not. There tends to be little fiefdoms with different police agencies and police versus fire and fire versus EMS and blah blah blah. That's not the case here. So Livingston County is very fortunate.
Hey, not too long ago, in many of our lifetimes, Detroit was the 3rd largest city in America.
Oh yeah,
3.2 million citizens.
It's been a great experience. I mean, I have no regrets about moving here.
There's an old saying that the road will get you elected, the jail will get you unelected. So, to give you an idea.
You have to have a reason to change for change to be enacted.
Good evening and welcome to the Right Side Podcast on September 9th, 2025. We've had a couple of week break here. We were off for Labor Day last weekend. I hope everybody had a safe travel. And as promised, I have a special guest tonight. Judge Michael Warren is here to talk about, he's here to talk about lots of stuff. He's
full of real good information, and I can listen to him all night. So maybe you can too. But tonight we're going to start off. Our primary reason is about Patriot Week, which is this week, and he can explain that. But welcome, Judge Warren.
Thank you.
Glad you came.
My pleasure.
Love to see you in your famous bow tie. And
there we go. Patriotic bow tie.
Well, let's start by telling our viewers about you. Just start by introducing yourself. Tell us about some background and.
All right. Well, I am the proud parent of two wonderful children. I'm a loving husband, I hope, to my beautiful wife. We live in Beverly Hills, Michigan, in Oakland County. We've been there for over 30 years. My daughter is she's actually graduated from medical school. She's now a doctor in her residency at Indianapolis. Doing for Indiana University, doing pediatrics and emergency medicine. And my youngest is at University of Michigan, go Blue, as a senior. And I've been an Oakland County Circuit Court judge for 22 years, 9 months, and a couple weeks, but who's counting?
Right.
I'm a former member of the State Board of Education. Before that, I worked with Cornerstone Schools in Detroit, which were faith-based schools, independent, received very innovative program in which we focused on faith-based education and a strong grounding in kind of the back to basics curriculum. Before that, I worked at Honeyman Miller Schwartz & Cohn, a major law firm in Detroit, in corporate and litigation matters. And I also have clerked for the Michigan Supreme Court. I worked for the State Board of Education. I served on the State Board of Education. The only person I know of that actually worked for the State Board and served on it. Fighting for civics and history education, which has been sorely neglected, not just in Michigan, but across the country. U of M law school grad, go Blue again, and Wayne State undergrad, where I met my wonderful wife.
Okay. Yeah. And where did you go to Wayne State Law School?
No, Michigan Law School.
Oh, okay.
Wayne State undergrad.
Yeah. Wrong way. Okay.
That's okay.
You say go blue, and my head just goes. Go green for anybody else.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, we'll have to have a friendly disagreement.
We will have to have that. Okay. Well, and so how long have you been a circuit court judge in Wayne County?
Oakland
County. Sorry.
22 years.
My gosh.
9 months and a couple weeks.
Wow.
Yep.
I bet you have stories. Oh my goodness.
Oh yes. Every day is a new challenge, but I love it.
Obviously,
it's really important work. I try my best to be a guardian of the rule of law, justice, our Constitution, our inalienable rights. Something you can really literally do every single day while you're on the bench, and that's
something we just love to hear from judges. That's exactly what you're aiming for. So that's what a good judge should do, I think.
Absolutely.
So, and we have our Carolyn Henry's our prosecutor here. Thanks you for your service on the bench and for justice.
Thank you.
So you're here because of Patriot Week. This is Patriot Week, and we'll talk about the event on Thursday shortly, but let's start with, how did Patriot Week begin?
All right. So I know this sounds a little funny. I was the child of a atheistic Jewish father and a disaffected Catholic mother. And when I was raised, my dad would always say, Mike, you can believe anything you want, just remember it's all baloney. But he didn't quite use that terminology.
Right.
And as a little kid, I was an atheist and was pretty vocal about it. And then in kind of high school, I'd been doing a lot of reading, and I learned about different faiths, the Hindus, the Buddhists, Muslims, Greek pantheon, whatever. So I became an agnostic. I said, it's beyond human comprehension. I don't know what to believe. And then, of all places, in Ann Arbor, in law school, the Holy Spirit found me, and I converted overnight. Much to the shock.
I noticed how you said "of all places."
Of all places, yes, because it's not your typical story about the Holy Ghost finding you. But that literally what happened. And I called my short little Italian grandma, the Roman Catholic one. I said,
Right.
Grandma, you're going to take me to church this weekend. So I'm in Ann Arbor. She's in St. Clair Shores. And she goes, Michael? I go, yeah. She goes, is this a joke? I go, no, it is not a joke. You're really going to do this. And very quickly thereafter, I became, I converted to Catholicism.
Okay.
And I tell you that story because I had to learn about the liturgical calendar.
Okay.
So we have these dates like Ash Wednesday, Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Pentecost, Advent, Easter, Christmas.
Right.
Why do we have these days? To stop in the hustle bustle of our day to renew our faith.
Right.
All the great religions have this idea. The Buddhists, the Hindus, the Muslims, the Jews, they all have this idea of celebrating certain days, holy days. That's why they're called holidays, holy days, to stop in the hustle of the day or your life to renew your faith. And I had been at Wayne State, a very serious history. I don't want to say I was a scholar at that point, but I was extremely interested in history. And I realized that America used to have a civic calendar for the same reason. So we had Independence Day, Thanksgiving, George Washington's birthday, Lincoln's birthday, Memorial Day. Why? To stop in the hustle bustle of our day to renew our faith in America.
Right.
In fact, John Adams wrote to his wife Abigail when we declared independence that the anniversary of that day would be forever remembered. It would be celebrated with bells and bonfires and speeches and illuminations in the sky from one end of the continent to the other, now and forevermore. And he was right.
He was correct.
But he also said it should be a solemn day of devotion for the blessings of liberty. Now, I don't know about you, but the last time I had a hot dog at a 4th of July party, it was not a particularly solemn occasion. And
nor was it really, discussions about liberty.
Right. I make, when I have my, actually, I'm a little coy here. Actually, when I have a 4th of July party, and we usually do, I make everybody read a line from the Declaration of Independence.
Oh, good. Okay.
And so, but most people don't do that.
No.
And so, I was explaining this to my daughter that what had happened with our holidays is they've been commercialized and gutted. For example, Memorial Day.
Memorial Day is opening of summer more
right.
than it is about what it is. Yeah.
Right. So it started as Decoration Day. And what happened was women at the end of the Civil War and after would go to the graves of those who'd given their last full measure of devotion for the blessings of liberty. And they would decorate the grave sites.
Right.
And that slowly transformed into Memorial Day. And then Richard Nixon and the Congress decided that it should be a Monday and that we'd have a 3-day weekend. And so now it's an empty excuse for, like you said, the beginning of summer.
Go up north.
You can go up north, barbecue.
Sure.
You can wear white.
Wait, stop.
Carpet sales.
Did anybody hear that?
Sales.
Do you hear him? There's a man out there that knows the white rule. I love it. Go ahead.
Right, but that's true.
I fight with people all the time about that, but go ahead.
I break it sometimes, but in any event, so we've turned that into an empty excuse for appliance sales and carpet sales, and you can look at all of our major holidays. It's the same thing. And so I was explaining this to my daughter at a Japanese steakhouse. I was just me and her for lunch, and her name is Leah. And she said, Dad, that's wrong. We need to do something. We need to start a new celebration for America. And I went, whoa, because at that point,
How old was she?
10.
Okay.
So I got the 10-year-old looking at me.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, what else am I going to do? So I decided that I had to put my money where my mouth was and that we were going to do something about it. And I've been reading an article about Kwanzaa. Now, a lot of people think Kwanzaa is an old African holiday. It was brought over on the slave ships. Absolutely false. It was made up in the 1960s by the professor that started the Black Studies movement. And I don't mean made up in a bad way. He was creative.
Right.
And he took the menorah model. Now, they say it's not the menorah model, but look at it. It's the menorah model, and every day they have a candle. And they light a candle on each day with a term from Swahili, like faith and community and prosperity, those kinds of things.
Okay.
And so I looked at Leah and I said, Leah, what about a week? She said, oh yeah, Dad, let's do a week. And so I said, all right, we got to find a week that makes sense. And
Patriot Kwanzaa.
Patriot Kwanzaa. And so we looked around the calendar and we realized that September 11th to September 17th is a 7-day period. The 11th, hopefully most of our viewers know what the 11th is about.
Right.
But what's the 17th? Come on, Drick. What is it?
Flag Day.
No, Flag Day.
I don't remember.
June.
Oh, was that the signing of the Declaration?
Close. That's in July.
Oh, that's right.
Signing of the Constitution.
Yes.
There we go.
Constitution Day thing.
So
yes.
Constitution Day.
Okay.
So we had those anchor dates. And when we started Patriot Week 16 years ago, Constitution Day was relatively new. And if you receive federal money as a school, you're supposed to teach about the Constitution on Constitution Day. And that was actually by Senator Byrd from West Virginia. He slipped in an appropriations bill. Lots of bad things about Senator Byrd, but you
But not that one.
Got to tip your
Okay.
hat to him for that one. And so we have the week, and each day we celebrate a founding first principle from a Declaration of Independence, key documents and speeches that embody those, founding fathers and other great patriots, and flags from our history. What happened was Leah said, "Dad, we need to get the kids excited. Let's have fireworks." I went, "Leah, you're right. We need to get the kids excited, but fireworks are kind of taken. You got to go outside. It's expensive." She goes, "Oh, you're right, Dad. Let's have flags." We have all these really cool flags from history, like the Gadsden flag, for example, which is the yellow one with "Don't Tread on Me" and the snake, and the Union flag that flew over Fort Sumter. Each of these, the suffragettes had a flag when they were fighting for the 19th Amendment to be ratified, giving women the right to vote. So all these flags have a really cool history behind them. So each day we celebrate a founding first principle, patriots that made that come alive in America, key documents and speeches, and the flags. And it's been a very interesting journey. Every year it's different. We've had the U.S. Senate unanimously approve Patriot Week 6 years in a row. We're on the verge of number 7.
Nice.
And interestingly, Gary Peters and John Kennedy from down south. Probably a lot of your viewers know him.
My favorite, yeah.
He's got quite the personality.
Yep.
They co-sponsor, which is pretty crazy if you know their politics.
Yeah.
And we've had over 15 states recognize it, including Michigan, and through gubernatorial recognition or through legislative recognition. And we have a podcast, a TV show, a video series, lesson plans. That's all at patriotweek.org. And then during the week itself, we do something every year. And this year, most of it is an education tour where we have a reenactor who can do both Frederick Douglass and Martin Luther King Jr.
Oh, wow.
And he's going into the schools, a set of different schools. So I begin with an introduction to the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. And then after I do that, the reenactor is going to talk about the first principle of the day. So we have the rule of law, unalienable rights, limited government, the social compact, equality, and the right to auto or abolish an oppressive government.
Wow.
So he'll talk about one of those. And then we're going to break the kids up into discussion groups. They're going to talk about how to better fulfill that first principle. And then we're going to take those kids' comments and put them into a report. And then we want to convene an education summit and then actually lobby the legislature over what the kids have come up with. So far, it's mostly been they desperately need more civics and history education.
I agree.
And so, but they understand that. And what's scary is that they'll say to us, "We've never heard this before. We want to hear more about it." So that's great. And then we're having our 3rd annual Patriot Week chat at Oak Park Country Club here in Livingston County. And that's
the Oak Point.
Oh, excuse me, Oak Point.
Is out by you.
I said Oak Park.
Yeah, you
excuse
did.
me, Oak Point
There we
Country
go.
Club in Brighton. That's on 9/11.
There's the flyer there,
there's the
everybody.
flyer.
You can take a look at that, and I believe. Let me see if I can get that bigger. There we go.
So
Take a look at
there
that
you
bigger.
go.
You can see the little scanner right there, and the place to go get you free tickets. You have to sign up soon, though. So anybody seeing this, if you want to sign up and come, this is a very interesting.
You can crash
dinner.
if you need to,
Yeah,
but we prefer just to know
right here.
Okay.
It's not hard. You're watching.
Right.
Okay.
So that's Thursday at 6:30, and we have Nolan Finley of the Detroit News, who's the editor-in-chief, and Stephen Henderson, who used to be the editor-in-chief of the Free Press, and they're going to be talking about how to communicate across how to be civil in discussions, communicate with people that you might disagree with. And then we have Mike Rogers, former House member, State Representative Jason Wolford. Frederick Douglass is going to be there, so that's going to be great. And then I will be there doing my spiel on the.
I have to ask: are you going to be dressed the
Revolutionary War?
Yes.
I think for that one I probably will be. I think I was last time,
yes,
right?
Yes, you were.
So,
I fixed your shoe.
Right. Yeah,
Yes.
that shoe's tough.
That's right.
So again, that's at Oak Point Country Club in Brighton.
Yes, we all.
This Thursday.
Anybody here watching knows where that is.
Yeah.
So.
And that's going to be great. And Holly Heikkinen has been the driving force behind that, and she's amazing.
She is amazing.
And this is our third one. We've had 2 really great ones in the past. Free food. This is stuff that you don't get anywhere else.
Right.
So we really encourage you to come out and enjoy that.
Let me catch up on some here. Chris here thinks that he was listening to your speech about how you grew up with all the different religions or lack thereof, and he thought that was a great combination. Karen thanks you for their service.
Thank you.
Here's Rob saying you look great. Okay.
Appreciate that.
He also wants to remind you that in the middle of Patriot Week is 2A Day, which we'll get to in a bit. All right. And Ron Gillard says you're a very interesting person. He enjoys your expertise and knowledge on the subjects.
Thank you, Ron.
And Joni says exciting week.
Excellent.
Exciting weekus? Oh, is that a typo or is that something I'm supposed to know? Okay. Anyway, there we go. Now we're caught up. So you are exciting week.
Yes. So
okay.
2A Day is on Saturday.
Yep, the 13th.
The 13th, and we have we're gonna have a Patriot Week presence there. We're gonna have a booth, and we'll pass out free pocket constitutions. Also, you get a free pocket constitution declaration at the an event that we sponsor. That's new for us, and I will be speaking at 1:00
at the Patriot Week.
At
2A.
2A Day.
Okay.
And then Frederick Douglass will be speaking in about 1:15. And that'll be interesting. He was an amazing man, a slave who literally ran away from slavery, beat up a whole bunch of people while he was a slave to stand up as a man and fight back from his enslavement. Was probably the most eloquent speaker of his age. Other than maybe of that age, other than maybe Lincoln, they're kind of neck and neck.
Okay.
Which is saying something, right? Because Lincoln was so eloquent.
Sure.
And he's got a fascinating story. So that's going to be great. We're really happy to be there. I don't know if I should say this or not, but let's just say that
you should.
That I've got my CPL very recently.
All right. Okay.
And so we'll see what happens on
you'll be fitting right in then.
Right.
Well, that's I'm listening to you talk about Frederick Douglass, and I'm trying to think who could I commit to being next year. I go to this every year. I'm gonna be somebody. Who should I be?
Well,
we have to find a female out there somewhere.
There's Abigail Adams was very interesting.
Right.
We have Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton.
Okay.
Fighting.
Brush up.
Yeah, so
all right, we'll find somebody.
For you.
I've got a whole year to plan and dress and everything else.
I love it.
We'll show up as something or other.
That would be fantastic.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Betsy
Ross.
Betsy Ross. No, no, not being Betsy Ross. I don't sew.
You have to be true to yourself.
I would have to be true to me. Yes. Find somebody more like me, Rob. So anyway, yes. Well, that's all great stuff. And I heard a personal story about you, and I gotta share here.
Uh-oh.
You had a tree fall through your house.
Yes.
Tell me this story.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. The Supreme Court, since COVID, has this policy that basically encourages people to work at home. So I have to set the stage, okay? If I'm not in a trial, I'm not on the record, then they want you to work home. So I'm working at home, and my wife is working at home, and it is June 22nd, and 3:00 in the afternoon, and I'm working on a very difficult opinion. The opinion is now public, so I can talk about it. And
Okay.
the case involves an alleged first-degree murder with a missing body, and it has come back from the Court of Appeals, and there's concern about what is going on with the case, and there's an opinion kind of a follow-up opinion that I had nothing to do with the original opinion because I inherited the case from Judge McMillan, who's now retired. And I need to carve out time to work on this opinion because it's very complicated, it's very delicate, and I'm not really familiar with it. So I decided I was going to use this time to work on it. So I'm working on it, and my wife is in the study with me. We're on the second floor in Beverly Hills. There's a ravine next to us, and the sky turns black.
Yeah.
Wind starts to blow, and we're like, ooh, and we look out our windows and we see the trees swaying and some wind. There's a little bit of rain, but not that much. There's no thunder, there's no lightning. We're like, oh, that's some pretty serious wind, but looks like everything is okay. We go back to work. My wife stands up. She's frustrated with one of her colleagues. I'll just leave it at that. She says, I need a coffee. I need a coffee break. And she marches out, and my dog follows her dutifully, a little Westie. And I go, I still got to work on my opinion. I go back to my opinion. I go, well, at least there's no lightning or no thunder. And then, boom! Loudest sound I ever heard. I go like this. The house literally is shaking like this.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like this. I open up my eyes. I'm covered in dust and insulation, and there's a tree 2 feet from my head. It just missed me. And it fell exactly where my wife had been sitting. So I say, but for 2 feet in 2 minutes.
Well, it's really but for whoever ticked her off.
Right.
They need flowers.
Everybody said she needs to take that woman out for a steak dinner.
Yeah.
And so we're very blessed. Very blessed.
Yes.
And so the house has been under construction, reconstruction. I have to say, I'm not trying to promote them. Progressive Home Insurance has been great.
Okay.
And Balfour, which is our reconstruction company, has been outstanding. Got nothing but good things to say about all these people, at least so far. And we've got a new roof, and we've got a new wall, and they're putting in the drywall right now, but it's been a slow slog. Not because of the people that are dealing with it. Other things kind of interfered with it, but hopefully we'll be moved in, relatively soon. We have to get new siding and new carpeting and all that stuff, but we're safe.
Well, yeah, that's what's important.
Yes.
Stuff is stuff.
Stuff is stuff.
It's just stuff.
Stuff is stuff.
Yep.
That's exactly right. So.
And very replaceable.
Right. So, but every day people ask me, how am I? And I'm like, I'm fantastic. And I haven't been attacked by a tree in the last few weeks, so I'm good.
So did you get but the real important question is, did you finish the opinion?
I did finish the opinion.
You didn't, really?
And I finished the opinion, and I dropped in a footnote that explained why the opinion was somewhat delayed. And I told the story in the footnote, and I said, this opinion will forever be known as the Fallen Timbers opinion, which was a battle. And it has made the rounds in the legal committee. It's made the rounds,
okay.
Oh my gosh, it's gotten a lot of play.
Well, yeah, so. You don't often get stuff like that. So
right.
So tell me about, back to Patriot Week here for a minute. Tell me about kind of like, what are you hoping? I mean, you kind of talked about the program. What are you hoping to? Like, what are you hoping is different, or you're talking about outcomes?
Yes.
What are you hoping is like the anybody that comes? What are they going to get out of it? What is their forward action? What's the follow up, etc.?
Great question. So depends on what program you go to, but I want to start by explaining. So I wrote this book a while back called America's Survival Guide, How to Stop America's Impending Suicide by Reclaiming Our Founding First Principles in History. Now, this book has a very provocative title. It says that we're on the verge of committing suicide.
Agreed.
And when I first published the book more than 10 years ago, people were like, what are you talking about? And now they're like, oh.
We get it.
We get it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so part of our... I'll read one quote.
Okay, go ahead.
If you let me
absolutely
indulge me here. I wish I should have had this right at the tip of my fingers here. So Abraham Lincoln wrote this, or said this in a speech.
Okay.
At what point then is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer, if it is ever to reach us, it must spring up among us. It cannot come from overbroad. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of free men, we must live through all time or die by suicide. So, of course, he was kind of predicting the Civil War.
Right.
But that really plays today
I
because
say it's very apropos today.
very apropos today. And part of it is, I think a huge part of it is that we have done such a disservice to this generation learning the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Because if you believe in those things, then basically everything else that you disagree with, you can get past.
Sure.
But if you don't believe in those things, then nothing you believe will ever work, and the country is going to fall apart. You know?
I can't say that there's probably ever been a time that I know of that we have been further apart, and there are people so far away from that Constitution. So it's very good that you're working to bring people back. And this this movement of yours is bipartisan. It's not.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
It is absolutely bipartisan.
Yes. Out here, maybe not, but.
Well,
I mean, you invite everybody, but
we invite everybody.
Yeah, we
so,
tend, but Wayne County would be one side,
right.
we're another side.
Right.
But still,
if you
everybody's welcome.
Right. You go to our Wayne State event.
Sure.
And we have a bunch of I guess I would call them liberal-leaning academics,
sure.
right?
Okay, right.
And so, it depends on the program, and it just depends on the community. But what I'm trying very hard to get people to recognize is that we are united under our Declaration.
Sure.
We hold these truths to be self-evident.
Self-evident, right.
That all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights.
And right there, we lose so many right there these days. It's
Absolutely.
awful. It is absolutely awful.
Absolutely.
So.
And so the point of Patriot Week is to help people remember that we have a Declaration, that we have a Constitution, that we are all supposed to unite behind these things, that we can teach our children that that's what the country is about. And it's interesting, there's a kind of a resurgence in religion in the Catholic Church, especially lots of new Catholics. I hope it is true with Protestant religions as well. And that, the goal is hopefully we can catch fire with this younger generation who's probably sick of what's going on with the people that hate the country,
yes.
or at least act like they hate the country. Major politicians that disavow our founding first principles is kind of a standard.
Hollywood and
yes.
Lots of people that others look up to, sports players.
Right.
There's a great deal of them. So yes.
Yes.
Ron here just spoke. Well stated. Couldn't agree with you more. He thinks people need to pass a U.S. citizenship test study guide book, and it should be a course in high school. And boy, oh boy, I have to say that'd be a good thing.
Yeah.
I think we would have more people that would understand the Constitution, and if they had to do something like that.
There actually is a movement, and it's been adopted in several states, where you have to pass the citizenship test to graduate. And I think that's wonderful. The test is not particularly hard, to be honest, and you only need to pass 60% to be able to pass to get your citizenship, which I also think is a little silly, but that's at least it's a start, and the goal is so there are many ways to revive the spirit and renew the spirit of America. Education, media reform, what our leaders are doing, but we also had these civic holidays, and so I think a big missing component is the civic holidays, and we're not going to be able to revive the current ones. You're not, George Washington's birthday was a huge holiday for the first 100 years. People would recite the farewell address. They would have these big punch bowl parties. They would really celebrate his life. that's not going to come back. It's just not. Memorial Day, we talked about that, how
Sure.
that was a solemn day and there would be parades, but it was a very meaningful
Yes.
experience for people. It's going to be very hard to revive that. And so you need new ones. And hopefully Patriot Week can fill in the gap for a while. I don't think it's going to last forever, just like the others don't.
Sure.
But at least it can be a bridge to the next set of civic
And hopefully a
holidays.
catalyst.
Right.
So if you're in Livingston County on it's September 11th through 17th, correct?
Yes.
So you're in Livingston County on Thursday at Oak Point,
Yes.
kicking that off, and then again on the 13th you're back here to be part of 2A.
Right.
Which is constitutional. So what
And
are
if you
the
like the Detroit Lions and you're willing to drive,
okay?
all right, we're renting a theater on the Sunday at 12:30 in Royal Oak, the Imagine Theater.
Okay.
And Frederick Douglass is making an appearance there.
All right.
And then it's a Lions watch party.
Oh.
Because we keep fighting with the Lions for what we're doing on the Sunday. We're
Sure,
like,
sure.
forget it. We're just gonna
can't beat them.
So we're gonna join. So we have a watch party, and
All
then
right.
during all the commercials, we're gonna be doing like trivia quizzes, history quizzes,
Oh.
and then we're got giveaways. So if you
And
want,
that you can find that at will you find that at patriotweek.org?
you can find that at patriotweek.org. Yes.
Okay.
So that's another public event. And then we have the one at Wayne State on Monday at noon. And then most of the rest of them are these. We also have a really interesting one that you won't be able to attend, but we're hoping. But
well, let me jangle it around
hold
you,
on.
but you can't go.
But you might be able to. We're hoping to live stream it. We're still working
all
on
right,
it.
okay.
It's going to be at Seeholm School, which is in Birmingham, Michigan,
Okay.
where my daughter went to school, co-founder of Patriot Week. And we're going to have Kevin Rinke. I saw him on there.
Yeah, he's been here.
Tom Leonard.
Okay.
Kevin Kiefsky,
Uh-huh.
who just won that victory about the electors. And we're going to talk about not like the road tax and how much should you raise a penny, but what is your guiding philosophy? What government is about? Who's your favorite historical character? Things that
Sure,
people don't get
sure.
into, but are very revealing about the person that is answering the question.
Uh-huh.
And we did this actually during the Whitmer election, and we had 4 pretty credible candidates. And when they started, you all thought that they were very close in philosophy. When they ended, you were like, whoa, these are very divergent views of
Sure.
what the country's about.
Sure.
So we hope to live stream that. If we're able to do that, we'll definitely put stuff on that.
Yeah,
on
no, I'd love that. I would love to attend that.
And if you want to be on our email list, and we don't abuse it, like
Right.
we send it out when it's appropriate. Send me personally an email at M as in Michael, Warren, WARREN, at patriotweek.org. mwarren@patriotweek.org, and then we can get you on the e-blast, and you'll get all the information.
Patriotweek.org.
Yeah, patriotweek.org. And you can if you go to patriotweek.org, you can find a place where you can type that stuff in. But I know since we've got people live here watching, they can just.
Okay, that's it right there?
That's it right
Okay,
there.
if you need to, did that wrong. There we go. Okay, the right side. M. Warren at patriotweek.org, and you can reach Judge Warren here. Well, we have some more comments here. Daryl Jackson thinks Judge Warren is a Michigan gem. I happen to agree with you, Daryl.
Thank you, Daryl.
Okay, and then Rob has a question here in Livingston County. He's heard some interesting interpretation of inalienable rights. What's your definition of inalienable rights? And is it inalienable? Is it
He tipped it the same way. But I think he
inalienable
wants,
or inalienable rights?
Yeah. So
Okay.
maybe he's talking about, is it in, I-N, or un, U-N?
Oh, okay.
So I don't think there's a real difference between them. The Declaration uses UN, and there's a
I
range.
didn't know that. I would
Yeah,
have
so
said
it's,
I.
so it's unalienable.
Unalienable,
And
okay.
so when I speak, I always use un because
Okay.
that's how it's scripted in the Declaration of Independence.
Okay.
But some people
Who knew?
Some people say it's they use in.
Yeah.
And the idea is that your rights are not given to you by government, not given to you by the masses. They're given to you by God when you're born as a human being. They're inherent in you as a human being. So my book, America's Survival Guide, talks about that concept, as does my upcoming book, which will be released in March, which is the definitive guide to the Declaration of Independence, a line-by-line exploration. We don't have any.
Talk that again. That I talk about that book. I'm
Yeah.
so interested in this.
So
So is Rob, apparently.
apparently every 125 years, somebody needs to write a book that goes through the Declaration line by line, because that is literally what's happened. It's been about 125 years since anyone actually went through line by line of the Declaration and explained it. What was interesting was I went through a few sources and realized that several of these books actually were wrong in what they thought the Declaration meant. So that was very interesting. So I've done a deep dive in every single word of the Declaration, and the short version, which is going to be published in March, is a mere 210,000 words, which is a little longer than the New Testament.
Oh boy.
But it's designed in a way that if the question was, what's unalienable rights? There's a chapter on unalienable rights, and then there's a chapter on equality, and there's a chapter on the social compact, there's a chapter on the right to revolution. And then we have 28 grievances in the Declaration. So each grievance has its own chapter. What was really interesting was when I was writing it, I first thought there were only 27. And then I taught myself, well, wait a minute, there's 28. There's this other one I didn't realize was actually a grievance. So even I learned, and I've done a podcast on the whole Declaration and realized, oh, I've made a mistake there. And then, so if you really want to learn, so next year is the 250th anniversary of our country.
Okay.
With the Declaration of Independence on July 4th. And 1776, so it's 2026. Right. There's this thing called America 250, which I don't want to be too critical, but the reality is there's no, as far as I can tell, I'm the only real scholarship on the Declaration.
Okay.
I've heard the Constitution Center is doing something, so we'll see how well done it is. But when the bicentennial, for those of you old enough to remember the bicentennial, there was a ton of books that were published in 1776. There was a lot of activity and a lot of pride about America in 1976, which was really needed because we'd just gotten out of Vietnam and we had Watergate and all this terrible stuff, but we could celebrate the bicentennial. I'm very concerned that next year this is actually not going to happen, that we're not going to unite around our 250th birthday, and that there's going to be, a real problem in connection with this great opportunity to bring Americans together around our founding first principles and what should unite us. And I'm concerned that it's going to end up dividing us, but we'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, I've been looking forward to this book. You told me about it a year ago, and I think every time I see Holly, has he got his book yet? So I'm going to buy it.
Took a long to write.
I'm
Took
going to buy
a long
it for my
time to
husband.
write it. Yeah.
Rob loved your answer to the question. He says it's almost like you've written a book about that subject.
Yeah.
All right, here comes Jay. Of the 28 grievances against King George, how many has Trump done in his first 8 months?
Oh, Mr. Drick.
Mr. Drick, I know. Why do you do this to me? Okay, well, we don't have to go there. All right, we can pretend he didn't say a thing.
All right.
So anyway, but so I'm really looking for, what's the name of the book?
So that's going to be the definitive guide to the Declaration of Independence.
Okay.
A line by line exploration.
Oh my gosh, that is going to be, Jay, that's your birthday present, FYI. I've ordered it. I ordered it a year ago Thursday. So, well, and this is your other book, and you have, these are your 2 books. And what's the name of that book again?
So this is America's Survival Guide.
Okay.
How to Stop America's Impending Suicide by Reclaiming Our Founding First Principles in History.
Now, where can these books be purchased?
So if you do a Patriot Week event, I can sign it for you.
Oh.
And that's a great thing.
Will you have the books for sale there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And then, but also they're available on Amazon and other online retailers.
Rob wants to know if you're planning any Audible.
That's a really good question. I'm trying to figure out if we're going to do an Audible for the first for the declaration book.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm going to try to. I'm thinking about. I haven't decided yet, so don't get too excited. But I'm thinking about updating the old book, and then maybe doing an Audible version with that. But I got to focus on getting the new book finished because they're going to send me some edits in a week or two, and they got to work on the cover and all that kind of stuff. We're looking for someone to do a forward. But we do have a podcast to talk about Audible books. So the podcast is very different than most podcasts. So first off, it's only audio, and it's audio because it is scripted.
Okay.
And we have right now 3 of us host it, and it's scripted. And so what we do, for example, is we have historical characters, and there's 3 of us that we voice the characters with unique voices. So I know that we're not actors, and sometimes we get a little bit of that, but it's pretty good. It's pretty entertaining.
Sure.
And so what we do is we go through. We started with going through the Declaration of Independence line by line.
Okay.
We're doing that now with the Constitution. We also have special ones keyed to civic holidays. So even though I said it's been demised, we have, for example, Thanksgiving Day one, and we have the lions in it, and that kind of stuff. And we have some about historical figures. So it's pretty, it's unique, it's innovative.
What's the podcast called?
Patriot Lessons, American History and Civics.
Okay.
So you can find that on any normal podcast platform like Apple, Spotify, Podbean. If you're a podcast listener, really easy to find it.
Jay, write that down.
Write that down. So we got about 90.
Jay would love that.
We got about 90 episodes.
Okay. Wow.
And you can.
It's weekly?
It's no.
It's just been going on for 32 years.
It's been going on for it's about 6 years.
Oh wow.
And things like my Court of Appeals campaign and the tree, like shut it down for a while, right?
Okay.
So we are gonna pick it back up, and we're gonna have our kind of a relaunch.
All right. Well, sure, especially when you get a book coming out.
Right. So we're gonna really work hard on that.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got here?
And then also in the patriotweek.org, we have a Save Our Republic video series. And we have a cable TV show that my daughter and I started many years ago.
Okay.
And so we got a slew of episodes on that. And it's so cute because you can see her, when she's
oh,
growing.
Yeah.
She's
growing, yeah.
And so it's been a real pleasure to try to innovate and do all these different media to reach people with.
Awesome. Well, Ron's spoken up here, says that you should do your audiobook because it is he says you're a great speaker. So
thank you.
Yes. And then let's see here. Rob, here's the podcast on Apple. Here's the link. So anybody wants it, take that and copy it, or take a screenshot of it, or whatever you want to do, and we'll do that. Now, I agree with the audiobook statement.
Thank you.
I've always been a reader. I went through speed reading as a kid, so I can plow through books.
Yeah.
And I read all kinds of stuff. I could read comedy, and then mystery, and then supernatural, and then history, and then back and forth and back and forth. So I read all over the place. But I haven't touched a book in years. Everything now is on audiobook.
Yeah.
I drive and I play the audiobook, and I weed garden and I play the audiobook. I do dishes and I play the audiobook. And so I don't think I've picked up a book, and I don't remember how long, because I love the reading. I love the stories, but I'm just so addicted to those to Audible that anyway, so I agree. It's just a terrific way to use time in the car, or use time in like I said, in the garden, to learn whatever you're learning, or listen to whatever you're listening.
Well, I'm a runner, and I'm a long distance runner. I do marathons, and so when I'm doing a training run for 3 hours, I used to listen to music, and now I listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
And it's a game changer.
Sure.
Absolutely a game changer.
Well, it's so it's listening or utilizing that time to pick up on something. So terrific. Well, anything more that you want to share with us as we're heading into Thursday? I'm going to bring up that thing. This is Patriot Week chat. It's the kickoff to Patriot Week. Let me when I do that right there. There it is. So this is the Patriot Week chat. You can use these the QR code down there, and or go to the link that they put there, and you can sign up. It's a free ticket. They do ask, just so they can be prepared, they do ask that you sign up in advance. If you have to crash, then you have to crash. But try and let everybody know.
Yep. I've got two other things.
Sure, go right ahead.
So one is every March we have a what's called a Patrick Henry dinner, and that is in Troy.
Okay.
At the San Marino Club. Some Republicans might know that because there's a lot of Republican events there, and we have a reenactment of Patrick Henry's "Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death" speech.
Nice.
Which is fabulous. We got a world-class amateur actor that does it. And last year we had a debate between King George and George Washington, which was spectacular.
Yes.
This year we're in 2026 we haven't quite figured it out. Since it's the anniversary of the Declaration, we're thinking maybe what we would do is have members of the audience come up and read kind of like my July 4th, where everybody reads some of the Declaration along with some other kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And we give out Patriot of the Year awards, and this is also a bipartisan thing. So basically, one year we recognize a Republican or conservative, and the other year we recognize a Democrat or a liberal kind of person. And but it is extraordinarily unique. You'll never, never is a strong term, but I've never been to an event like this because there's so much of the history and the reenactment.
Okay.
You love costumes and all that. That's all there, all the reenactment. I show up in my Revolutionary War garb.
Nice.
And so that's going to be March 12th of next year, so you can put that on your calendar.
All right.
And then for next year, Patriot Week, and really for the Education Summit. So we had some serious traction with Brighton and Howell schools, and we've kind of slipped away from them. I really want to get those schools back involved, or other schools in this area. If you know of a charter school.
Well, we just so happen to have a lot of board members on our local board members in our little club here. So
good.
Let me see what I can do.
Yeah, because I think this tour with the reenactor is going to be fantastic.
Okay.
And we want to have as many schools as possible involved. And in fact, long term, I would like to have several reenactors. So it's not just one person, but maybe we got 2 or 3 out there covering the education communities.
Sure.
And so we need help recruiting this. What's great about it is it's very turnkey. We just need them to dedicate an hour or two at the school, and then we can take it from there.
Okay.
And so, and if you know of anybody that would be interested in hosting the Education Summit, that would be awesome. So we're although.
What do you mean the Education Summit?
So,
what do you need?
Yeah. So what we want to do when we're done with what we're doing with this during Patriot Week itself is for the school tours. Most of them will have a breakout session where the kids will talk about what they heard from the reenactor and from me, and how to better fulfill that first principle that we're celebrating that day. So let's say it's unalienable rights, since that came up. So what does that mean? And is our society protecting inalienable rights? How can we better protect inalienable rights and ensure that? So then the students hopefully will come up with some ideas. And maybe one is, we need to know what this term is, because my guess is most public schools don't teach about unalienable rights. So they'll say, let's learn about that, and then figure out how our Bill of Rights and our Declaration of Rights in Michigan teach our students more about that so that they can defend them when they're older. Let's say that's the proposal.
Okay.
So then we're going to take those proposals and reconvene a bunch of kids because we only go to one school a day, right? So we're going to different schools.
Right.
So they don't know, let's say we go to the social compact school. Well, they haven't heard anything about unalienable rights.
Okay.
So we want to bring all the kids together so that they can hear each other about what the proposals are, so that they can hopefully agree, hey, here's the top 2 or 3 ideas that we have that we can go to the state legislature with, and then lobby the state legislature. So that's the idea. So the summit would be bringing a whole bunch of kids in.
All right.
Well,
I can, what I'll do, Judge Warren, is I will reach out to the school board members that I believe would, take the lead on that or would be interested in taking the lead. And I'll send a group email, like an introductory email to all of them. And then you can respond from there. And
beautiful.
We'll, kind of like I did with, Rob. And so anyway,
right.
We'll make connections.
You are dynamo. You are a dynamo.
Why? Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Well, so we'll see what we can do, because we're, especially in Livingston County, we're so committed to that, especially in our schools and our kids. So we have some very, very solid board members that believe in that, and I'm sure that they will do what they can to make sure that works. We have our prosecutor chiming in again. She's looking forward to seeing you on Thursday.
Fantastic.
So great, Carolyn. I'm glad you're gonna be there.
Excellent.
So, I know, Carolyn, let's wear a costume next year. Let's be somebody. Let's be we'll do a skit. We'll do something. We can figure out. Maybe we can be Abigail Adams and Martha Washington or something, and we can talk about our husbands. This could be interesting. We could get creative, Carolyn and I.
I can see that.
Yes.
I can see.
Anyway,
that.
we'll have coffee and talk. So, all right. Well, you said there were 2 things. Was there something else you wanted to say?
Well, it was the summit.
Oh, okay. The summit. Okay.
And the Patrick Henry dinner.
All right. So one more time, I'm going to bring that up and enlarge it so you can see this is where we want everybody to head to on Thursday. It's going to be very, very interesting. You've seen Judge Warren. I always like to sit and talk and talk to him. He's very interesting, and his events are also. Holly is. Carolyn says we have a year to come up with something good.
That's great.
Yes, we do.
That's great.
So Holly's also, she's a dynamo, and she's works very, very hard on this, and so she always gives. I mean, there's a great dinner, and it's a great time, and it's great information. It's very enjoyable. It's even if you're, I have never been the history buff my husband is, but there are some avenues that make history come alive and make it more enjoyable. And I have to say, this is one of them. So coming from somebody that my husband will just gravitate to the History Channel or to the History this or whatever else. On our honeymoon, we spent our honeymoon touring Virginia, walking across battlefields where I got to learn all about it. And that was I told him that's the first time in my life I ever enjoyed hearing history. So this is another one. So coming from the non-history buff in the family, you'll enjoy this. Yeah. So make sure you sign up and come. Thank you so much for coming.
Don't forget about 2A Day either.
Yes, don't forget. 2A Day is Saturday, so we have Thursday at Oak Point, and Judge Warren will be back with Frederick Douglass on Saturday at 2A Day, and you said at 1 o'clock, and then 1:15 for Frederick Douglass. Yeah. So I think we have Rob was here 2 weeks ago talking about 2A, and we have a bunch of phenomenal speakers there. So we're really looking forward to both those days. So I'm going to go to commercial now. So thank you again, Judge Warren. And we're going to go to commercial, and then we're going to come back with the Howell Township drama. My goodness. So sit tight. We'll be back shortly.
Why should you join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Why, you ask?
Yeah, why? Why join?
The Republican Party is the party of common sense.
Common sense.
Republicans support the Constitution.
Republicans protect your rights.
We fight to keep your children safe.
We fight to keep boys and men out of girls' and women's sports.
We fight to keep boys out of girls' restrooms.
We fight for you.
What does the Republican Party do?
We help Republican candidates get elected.
Why is it important to elect Republicans?
Why is that important?
Why? Tell me, why is that important?
Livingston County is one of the safest counties in Michigan.
Livingston County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state of Michigan.
Livingston County has the lowest tax millage rate of all 83 counties.
Republicans work to balance the budget.
Republican legislators vote against raising your taxes.
Republican elected officials believe in transparency.
Republican clerks run elections with integrity.
Republican trustees protect your rights.
Republicans support our veterans.
Who can join?
If you are conservative, we want you in our party.
All conservatives are welcome at our table.
Join our activities.
Join the fun.
Become a member.
Join us now.
Hi, I'm Deb Drick, Chair of the Livingston County Republican Party. Our conservative message has been very well received in Livingston County, and I'm so happy to share with you that people are stepping up right and left to help. The only thing's missing is you. Come join our mission. Come join our fun. Go to livingstonrepublicans.com and click join. You'll be glad you did.
John Adams warned that the Constitution is wholly inadequate without a moral and religious people. As conservatives, we must reclaim the faith that shaped it, rooted in Jesus Christ and the Bible. To help you understand the historic Christianity that our country was founded on, check out theexaltedchrist.com, a resource website proclaiming Christ as King.
Welcome back. We're welcome back to the right side. September 9th. We've had Judge Michael Warren is a treat, isn't he? He is. I can sit and listen to him all night. So it was just a treat to have him here, and his. I can't wait. I've been telling him for over a year now that I cannot wait for you to get that book. So just remember that next year. Thursday he'll be here for Patriot Week, and then Saturday he'll be here. But for right now, we're going to put aside Patriot Week, and we're going to talk about something a little more interesting. And this, I'd like to introduce and welcome my guests, Bob Wilson and Shane Fagan. They are Howell Township trustees, and they are here to talk about. They've had their share of drama here. They've had a little bit of drama here in the Howell Township, and there's a whole lot of stuff going on. So before I say anything more, I'm going to say this. As I've said it many times, no Republican will get attacked on this show, so we are not going to do that. However, it appears that there is one of the elected officials, in particular the treasurer, his name is Jonathan Hohenstein. Hohenstein. Yeah, so Jonathan Hohenstein is he is not a Republican. He is not a Republican at all. He claims to be an independent. So okay, all right. So that's who we're going to talk about, because it seems like there's a lot of back and forth, and he said, she said, and this side and that side, which I tend to avoid drama like that. But there is if you look at all the different dramas, he's like right there in the center. And so this, especially as an independent, this I've asked the two gentlemen to come on, and we're going to just focus on the treasurer, Mr. Hohenstein. So start by talking about, I think the big complaint, this man wears like 1,100 hats in this place. He's not just the treasurer, correct? What else does he do?
I want to say 1,100, but at least 4.
It's 1,100, not 1,100. Yeah, 1,100. Yes, a lot. 4 hats. Okay.
So at least 4 hats, and there's some other committees that are maybe not official positions for the township. But as I know, there's the treasurer, which is what he was elected position, which is what the electors wanted him to do, and then he was appointed to zoning administrator and code enforcement officer, all in one sweep by a motion, when there was a vacancy or a retirement of our former zoning administrator. In addition to that, I believe he's also the utility director. Isn't that right, Bob?
Yes. He's also on the HR committee.
So I would say those are his 4 paid positions, if we could say that.
Paid positions. All 4 of those are?
Yes, as I understand.
5, the way I understand. Treasurer, zoning admin, code enforcement, utility director, and HR committee.
Yeah, HR committee, I won't say it's paid, but it is.
It's per diem, correct?
No.
You go it's by the hour?
I don't think there's any reimbursement for HR committee.
So for the 4 things, he's being paid. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Wow. All right. And I have here, let me bring it up. No, that's not it. Where'd it go? That's my tax. Hang on, I brought it up and I downloaded it.
That Axe My Tax.
No. I did a little I did an article on that one. You can read about that. Thank you.
Yeah, very good.
All right. Well, I just get worried about this stuff. So I brought up, and let's get out of that. Let me share the screen here. As soon as I bring this up, it is right here. All right, that's it. Now let me go back here and share the screen. Where's share screen, Tyler?
Might be.
Oh, there we go. Yep, got it. Okay. So there it is. Okay, so I'm going to everybody hope can see this. This is.
Looks like you got Zoom in your bottom right corner there too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gone now.
Oh. Nuts. Hold on. What's going on? Hang on. Stop sharing. Let's try this again. Okay. Except this is not opening. It must still be open somewhere. I'll bring it up. This is what I have here is his wages. Let's get rid of that so that's not on there. All right, so I've got his wages here. We've got a wage. There it is. Now, is this being shared?
You canceled that.
Huh?
Turned it off, so I got to reshare it.
I got to reshare it? Okay. Here we go. All right. Here we go. We got it now. So, right. That's not it, is it?
No, I think it's one of the outlooks there.
No. There it is. Share. Now, let's do the Zoom. Here's the Zoom. Thank you for that, Shane. All right, this is, from what I understand,
it would be our budget year.
Budget
year starts in July and goes till June.
Okay.
Yes. Starts July 1st, goes tentatively to June 30th.
So if I'm correct, or at least what I read from the email, his salary as a treasurer is something like 36,000 or roughly 30-something thousand, correct?
Yeah, right around 36,000, which is
plus or minus,
plus or minus, and that's what our our clerk and supervisor
Okay.
get as well.
Okay, and
So
that's for about how many hours a week?
so I don't think there's a specific
Okay.
hour amount put on those
Okay.
administrative positions. It's actually there's statutory duties.
Okay.
The clerk has
Sure.
to show up for
Right,
elections,
right.
treasurer for tax day,
Okay.
so on.
Okay.
So, which is an interesting aspect too, because you could potentially have an elected official who doesn't show up to an office very often. So,
Well, it's interesting because I know that Genoa Township, for example, has a required amount. I think that the clerk and the treasurer both are they get their money, but they're 24,000 or 24 hours a week, and I believe the supervisor is the same thing. It's for a certain amount of hours. So a minimum. So it's kind of interesting that you guys do not have an hour regulation.
yeah, that I know of as far as those positions, and I would be pretty surprised if a board was able to put those stipulations on the elected officials, but I would definitely look into it.
Okay. So we have a gross pay, regular pay, overtime pay, but you don't do overtime, I don't think. It's mostly done so you have hours.
So yeah, as I understand overtime, typically if there's any overtime worked, it would be taken as comp time in most cases. And then they would be required to use that comp time prior to vacation or holidays, things of that nature.
So are these 1 week or 2 week?
That would be every 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay, because I'm looking at this 109 and 84 and 87. So a lot of these are at 80. Some of them are just under 80. So it averages about 80. But I'm looking here at roughly just under 110,000. Holy cow. That's a lot for a treasurer and zoning administrator to make, and enforcement officer. Now I know that, I mean, that's crazy. That's a lot of money. So go ahead.
Remember that, they get 15% of their salary
That was my
donated
next
to 401ks.
Yeah, so 15% of that now goes on top of that, plus, health insurance, well, if there is any or anything else. That is crazy. That's a lot of money. That's what, 17,000 more?
Oh yeah.
For wow.
Well, I can tell you as a self-employed person, the cost of health insurance for a family of four, could be upwards of $20,000 a year.
Sure, so. But this guy, I mean, do your township officials get health insurance?
I believe they do.
Oh my gosh!
And
all right.
As an employee, I think he certainly would.
Oh my gosh! So there's another 20.
Potentially.
Yeah, roughly. Well, I know that even the state will pay. At the state, at the big rate of the state, they probably pay 18 or 19. So that's got to be about right. So that is a lot of money to pay a treasurer that doesn't even have a certain amount of hours. And I think most of these hours he claims as an hourly amount, because I think he gets paid $36 an hour roughly.
Yeah, so I would guess those hours would be derived from the position of utility director and zoning administration, because the treasurer's salary would simply be on top of that, but perhaps there is a mix of the treasurer's hours in there, although I don't see a reason for those to be tracked.
Okay. So Rob says there was nothing shared. So rather than trying to go through that again, I'll just tell you there's roughly $110,000 that a treasurer that's been made his salary as a treasurer is $36,000. So because he's a zoning administrator and code enforcement, that has jumped up his pay from roughly 36 to 109 plus. So, and as Bob said, that's plus a 15%, not even a match, it's a 15% contribution. Yes, gift. So, toward so that's a lot of money. And Shane says he believes they get health insurance. So there's a ton of money being shelled out here. So now you just hired a new enforcement officer last night, I believe. Did you not? You approved a new. Yes. How does this, so he just gets less hours now, or does he now work as a zoning administrator for the same 80 hours? And now you got to pay a code enforcement officer and him for those hours. How's that going to work?
I'm going to make a prediction.
Okay.
He's still going to work the same amount of hours, and he's still going to make the same amount of money, because they're just going to, instead of, 40, 40, and 20, Now he's going to be, 40, 20, 40.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So he'll still make his $110,000 in my opinion.
Okay.
Because they're going to say he's spending that extra 20% that he was doing ordinance officer on his treasurer job now or his zoning administrator job. But it's all about the money with him. He's still going to make the same amount of money. I bet money on it.
All right. So that's a prediction. That's a guesstimate. That's not a fact.
Yep.
So just making that clear. So so who does this new code enforcement? Now he was the code enforcement officer, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
and now you got a new one.
he was by an oath, by a motion, but
Right.
our ordinance, I believe I don't want to cite the ordinance
Okay,
number, but we
okay.
have an ordinance that specifies the code enforcement officer's duties, and how they will be hired. And that ordinance states that we must appoint that person by resolution. And as I said earlier, he was appointed by a motion that was packed into a HR committee recommendation with about 2 or 3 other items in it. So I felt like it was really slipped under the radar, and nobody even knew he became zoning enforcement overnight, if you will.
Zoning enforcement or the code enforcement?
Both.
Okay.
Zoning
All right.
administrator and code enforcement
All right.
on an interim basis
Okay.
as needed.
Was he? That's my next question. Was he voted in as a full temporary or ongoing?
Interim.
Interim. And how long ago was that?
So Joe, our previous zoning administrator, retired in March of 24, was it,
Yep.
Bob?
Yeah.
So
That's quite an interim.
yeah.
A year and a half.
Yeah.
And
no end in sight.
My question then is, if he was appointed as an interim, did you try, or did the township try to advertise that they were looking for somebody? They didn't do that till just recently.
So yeah, not at the time that the position became vacant. There was no effort to post that job, and if I recall, it was one of my first motions as a board member was to put the job up to the public as it was supposed to be done per our HR.
You
committee.
made a motion for that?
I did make
Did
a
it
motion
pass?
for that. No. But I
How
think we
did-
got
how
it on
did
the agenda.
How did it fail? What were the votes? Do you remember?
I would
5 to
imagine 2 to 5.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. Well, that's interesting. So, do you believe that his intention was to continue with this right from day one? Or what? Let's put it this way. Never mind what you believe, because I try to stay away from rumor. But has he shown any interest or any initiation at all in finding somebody to take these positions, or has it just only
No.
been recently?
No effort that I know of.
No, just, they're finally just caving to the pressure from Shane and I and people in the public.
Okay. Yes, I've seen your call to the public. So you've got a great deal going on. You've got a lot of complaints. I know I saw a guy complain last night that your treasurer is wearing too many hats, and I have to agree. Now I did a little homework, and I looked up whether or not a treasurer can serve as a zoning administrator, for example. And the answer is yes, as long as there's no conflict. And I believe the strongest example of conflict that's given in the statute is that he cannot supervise himself, or he cannot be in a position where he answers to himself. And so my question to you then is, when he does zoning, when he has zoning issues, obviously if there's no issue, it's an issue, right? He does the zoning, everything's going, it moves along, and it dies. Whatever happened, there's no drama, there's nothing that comes to you guys. But when there's an issue with the zoning, or when there's an issue with code enforcement, and there tends to be a vote, does he then vote on that?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's bad. See,
Yep.
that's where I believe the law is violated, because
The water gets a little dirty there,
it's not
I
just
would
a little
say.
dirty. That's stinking muddy and
Yeah,
swampy.
yeah.
That is not the optics of that are very bad, because voting on your own ruling, that'd be like, Judge Warren. I wish Judge Warren was still here. I would ask him. You just don't do. And the way I read the law, you can't do that. So had he been making his rulings, but then recused himself from the voting and recused himself from, but even the appearance of being on the board, he could be could be viewed as persuasive, right? Because he's persuading people to vote to uphold him. That's also a big no-no. So you either got to be an employee. So now you have a new code enforcement, but he's still zoning administrator.
Still zoning.
Here's the big question now: who does this enforcement person answer to?
Well,
same guy.
Yep.
Oh my God.
I would say everything goes up to the board, but the first person
right.
he answers to would certainly be the zoning
Right.
administrator.
So that would be he's so in other words, your treasurer
enforcement
is still calling the shots because and remember he's then supervising the position that he had. But a zoning administrator, okay, let me define the two. The zoning administrator deals with zoning issues. Code enforcement is the enforcement arm of the zoning, correct?
I would say so. A township could certainly do without code enforcement, though, as we did for many years.
Sure.
The zoning administrator can serve citations and tickets just as a code
Sure.
enforcement officer could. As the board or the township as a whole could act in that position as a code enforcement officer. But when you start getting into one of your trustees, which is essentially what we all are on a board,
Sure.
as a board of trustees, being the code enforcement or zoning administrator, then again, we're back to that person, that code enforcement or zoning administrator, having a vote on the board. And it has come up many times where there's an interest that I believe that zoning would like to uphold or code enforcement would like to uphold that gets brought to the board, and the board takes a vote on that, and his
voting counts?
His vote has always counted until last night, mind you.
Oh, what
First
happened
time
last
ever.
night?
He abstained.
He abstained for the first time when we motioned to remove him from zoning administration. So.
Oh, that way, legally, I think he has to abstain. I don't think that was his choice. He could not have voted on that when it's about him.
Certainly.
Right.
But if he has to abstain to avoid a conflict of interest, then you can't serve in those two positions.
Well, like I said, when it's about you, you have to abstain. You can't have a vote, I think. But the dual hats, if one is supervising the other or one is above the other, that's where it's a problem. Now, if he were serving as the zoning administrator and issues came to the board and he abstained from that, still not great, but better, much better, because, unless he was colluding or whatever else, having conversations outside. But either way, doing it and then voting on it. And I know I have done some independent investigation, just, Bob and Shane, I watch them and they're the board members that agreed to come on here, but I have talked to many people, many very well-versed people in the township, and, they're saying the same thing. This is their observation. And I understand that, as Republicans, of course, this is not a Republican we're talking about, but as Republicans, we have an absolute and everyone watching will agree with this, anti-winners and losers, picking winners and losers mentality. We don't do it. We never do it. And we don't do it. And so we don't pick winners and losers. And it doesn't sound like, it seems like this is what I'm hearing anyway, that Jonathan has been known to pick winners and losers on situations.
I'm dealing with one right now.
Okay. What's the...
Well, you're not allowed to have a tractor of any farm equipment on a lot less than 2 acres in Howell Township, but there's this guy across the street from me that has one.
Okay.
And he just got it here a couple of years ago, and he started coming to the meetings and just tearing me up. So I'm like, you know what, dude, I've been quiet, but here you go. So I turned him in for the tractor, and here it comes back. Well, now he's lying and saying that he's always had a tractor, and he never has.
Okay.
And Hohenstein, he doesn't do any investigation or talk to neighbors or whatever, and I feel that he was instructed on what to say to let him slip through the rules and allow him to keep this. And he lied, and he said he's had it since 1977, but it's a 2006 tractor. So, you know what I mean?
That's some ability there.
Right. You know what I mean? And it's like, you got to be joking me, right? So, I refiled a complaint. We'll see where it goes with the new ordinance officer and see if He has influence on him.
Well, and that's the thing. How do you do something like that? All right, just wanna. Okay, Joni here says conflict much. Yes, ma'am, I agree. So we have Aaron Curry says, "What's up, guys? Glad you're here, Aaron." Aaron has also put the link to last night's meeting for anybody that wants to watch it. So it's over here in the comments. What else we got here? Oh my goodness, we have Mr. Anthony Hudson checking in, hearing what's going on. So hi, Anthony, good to see you, or good to see your profile picture anyway. So all right, so we have a treasurer that's so as a zoning administrator, where is he going wrong there? It sounds like a lot of it is code, but what zoning, where is that causing problems?
So, and I would just want to circle back to one thing that we just left off on, and that was him abstaining from voting himself out of position.
Right.
He didn't have to abstain to vote himself in that position. So that would
he
be
should have. Oh my goodness.
That would be my argument.
No,
that,
no, that was wrong. Last night was right. First time was wrong. Wow.
So we're the biggest conflict I see, and it's unfortunate because it's personal for me, but the township had taken me to court, or we had gone to court, and a decision was made that was, I guess, not favorable for the township, so they decided to appeal it, and the zoning administrator was in fact a witness in that case, as a zoning administrator, as a code enforcement officer, and he was one of the members to support the motion to appeal. And you know, I'm not sure what hat he was wearing that day when he was a voting member of the board, but I'm pretty sure that was a zoning administration role.
Okay.
Overseeing that case, and he had an interest in that case, and then he kept it going with an appeal that's now cost the township a good amount of money.
What's a good amount of money? Roughly
$34,000.
Oh my God! All right, let's back up for those who don't know what that is. The way I understand it, what I've learned on my own, I understand you had a welding business that you ran out of your garage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The way I understand it, the code reads, or the ordinance reads, a certain percentage of your house you can't use more than. I have yet to figure out if the garage in the ordinances is considered part of the house. I could not get the answer to that. Is it? Or you don't know?
It's definitely not living space.
I mean, is it stated house and garage, or when it in definition of house or space, does it include the word garage?
The definition of accessory structure includes attached garage.
Okay, all right. So, and that's the accessory structure is part of that ordinance, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
There is a stipulation for what kind of space you can use within an accessory structure.
And you're only allowed so much, and there was a complaint filed on you that you were using too much. And how long, Shane, after that complaint was received, did you move?
So complaint was received in July. It takes a little while to bring a business to a halt and move it.
Sure.
And we were moved out, I think, by November 1st.
Okay.
There was some communication with the township, not the communication that they desired, apparently.
Okay.
They had issued me a ticket in October.
Okay.
We got on the ball and got out of Dodge, so we avoided conflict as I was running for trustee, and knew it was going to just be a forever problem if I didn't. So
did you pay the ticket or no?
Come November, we moved out. I contacted the township in a couple fashions before the end of the year and let them know our position. We had moved, and I asked them if they would drop the ticket. They declined to do so, and so I went to court to fight that ticket.
Okay. Tell us about that.
Well, it was 3 separate trials.
On one ticket?
On one ticket.
They did a trial on a ticket?
Yes.
Okay.
Full trial, witnesses, testimony, cross-examination.
Oh my God.
Many attorneys.
And attorneys, yeah. The township.
Did you have an attorney?
No, I represented myself.
Oh my goodness. Okay, but they had attorneys.
2 of them at one time.
Oh my God.
Paid for by the public.
What was Bob, what was the cost of those attorneys, roughly?
Well, it was $33,000 so far.
Oh, that's the attorney. Okay, all the way from till now.
That's
Okay,
just legal fees.
So it was 19,000 to the end of the case in the district court. Is what
Okay.
was spent.
So they spent
That
19,000.
was legal fees. That's not what the zoning
Sure,
administrator
sure,
got
sure.
paid for his time.
Oh
and
my
effort.
God.
I'm sure he didn't come
No.
free of charge when he came to court. So
Oh my goodness. So they spent 20 grand, just under 20 grand to fight. How much would that ticket have been that you?
$100.
Oh my God.
Oh, well, at the end of it, I will say the judge found us guilty on one account, but did
How many counts were there?
I would say there was 8 or 9.
Okay.
I thought there were 10, but
Okay.
It was I worked hard. I chipped away at them. I did my research. I
Apparently.
understood the ordinance.
You going to law school?
No.
Oh my
it
God.
put some years on me.
Yeah.
So all said and done, the judge found us basically guilty for making a YouTube video outside. So she said, I do find you in violation of the home occupation
Okay.
ordinance, which was a blessing because
Sure.
that means it applied to us,
Right.
you know, the ordinance
Sure.
that I felt
Okay.
protected us. And we paid the $100 ticket.
Okay, so you
So-
paid the $100 ticket. Which
Gladly.
what would
We
that
thought
first
it was over.
the first ticket would have been how much? $100, right?
$100.
Okay, so the first ticket somehow turned into 8 roughly counts. You beat all of them except one, and it turned out they told you to pay $100. So there's 19. How did it get to 33?
The appeal, I guess, costs money too. So,
They appealed the $100 ticket. They appealed
on a guilty verdict.
They appealed it. Are they trying to change the other 8 or other 7 counts, or they just want? What are they? Why are they appealing?
They're trying to justify the language in their ordinance is what they're trying to do. But when I look at the ordinance, I see he's perfectly fine there.
Mm-hmm.
When the judge looks at it, she reads it as he's perfectly fine there. And when numerous other people, including yourself, look at it, you can see that he's clearly within the guidelines
Mm-hmm.
of operating his business there. And they're afraid that if they don't fight him, they're never going to be able to fight somebody to have a business in their house ever again.
So they're
Because he
looking
got
to
away
set a
with them
precedent.
first
That's
7.
what they're doing.
Absolutely.
But I mean, you know, and this is where again, I'm going after an independent here because a Republican that agrees to throw this kind of money, it's going dollar poor to get penny rich, and Republicans don't do that. So I'm really frustrated to hear that that's what's going on, because it just eats up time, it eats up township, and you know, I do conflict resolution. I've been a trainer for many years, and conflict resolution was one of my number one things. And what I always, when I work with groups, especially groups at war, I mean, why would you need conflict resolution, right? Unless you're at war. So especially with groups at war, I always say, change your standard from winning to resolving. And if you can change from winning to resolving, don't worry about fault and blame. In my opinion, and I've said this many times, fault and blame are the 2 most useless words in the English language. Because if you're focusing on fault or blame, you're looking backwards, and you can't move forward if you're looking backwards. So you don't use those words. They only serve to make somebody feel bad, or to start drama, or to start just baggage that you end up carrying. If you focus on resolving the issue so that it doesn't happen again, if you just focus there and never leave fault or blame, you can fix just about any problem, you know, and walk away and shake hands when it's done. You know, attorneys do that. They battle it out in court, but they focus on you know, the win. But they separate themselves from that. They don't make it personal between the attorneys. That's why they can go bowling or whatever afterwards. So, you know, fault and blame is just is used, and it sounds to me, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, that everybody's focused on winning versus resolving. Okay, am I right?
You are 100% correct.
Okay.
And in reality, there was, you know, 2 legal opinions on this, and one was fix your ordinances so they're more crystal clear. Even the judge said that.
Sure.
Even the township's attorney said that. Maybe you consider changing your ordinances to where they're more clear. And they chose appeal and leave them the way they are and appeal, and they're still unclear at the end of the day.
So it's still an appeal?
Oh, yeah.
Still an appeal, yeah.
Yeah. And the clock is ticking, and so the attorney,
so
yeah, that's right.
so is the
my
Mulan.
God. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, so one problem is that and what a bad optic. Go after your own trustee. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not saying
I don't think the judge was impressed.
No,
by it.
I can imagine. Well, here's the other thing. I mean, again, there's that resolve. You shouldn't do anything as elected officials. You should not throw bombs to the point where you gotta fix the problem. You fix the issue. Don't worry about the people. Fix the issue. You guys should be voting up or down based on what you believe, but it should not be at personal. And it sounds to me like, or what I'm being told from observers, and these are deep observers, that your treasurer tends to take things very personally and then makes it personal. They got it right?
You lick his boots or you go through hell.
Oh.
I certainly wouldn't speak for how personally he takes things.
Sure. But does it appear that way?
I tend to believe he does a thorough job in everything he does, but sometimes when we believe in ourselves, perhaps more than a higher power, if you will, then I think that's where it gets a little murky. You're your own highest power, and whatever you pops in his head perhaps is what he believes, and there's no deterring that. And there's been a lot of conversations, and I don't think I've ever seen any kind of bend on his end.
Oh, okay, that's bad. Yeah. Again, when you're elected, and I even came to, one of your board meetings. I don't have a dog in the fight. I grew up and lived in Howell Township, but I haven't lived there in years. But I went for one reason, and just to basically say, guys, work this out. This is not good. You are elected. What your real job is, you can say you're a treasurer, you can say you're a trustee, but what your real job is to seek ways to better your community. Seek ways to support and do things so your community is a better place at the end of your vote. Is the community a better place or not? And that is the standard. And it sounds like, and I'm segueing now to the other, the elephant in the middle of the room here, and that's the big fight with the American Legion. Yeah. And that one is, I can't not get my head around it. And the way I understand it, just to summarize it, it is the Legion asked formally to expand their parking lot, and were told by the then zoning administrator, no, can't do it, you're out of room. Okay. Sometime later, they then they did some not permanent structure, like they couldn't put asphalt, they couldn't put concrete on their parking, so they threw gravel or they threw asphalt shippings or something on the grass just so people could park on it, but it wasn't a permanent change. Now, for the listeners not understanding, I want to make it clear that the part of the parcel, now the 141, the American Legion 141 post is on the corner of Grand River and M59. It's where you see all the political signs. Well, all that big that big area there, that's owned by MDOT. That is not owned by the Legion, all right? So that's a huge point here. So they're throwing chipped stuff on the MDOT part of the property so they could park on it. And that is where they got a ticket. What happened there?
So it's actually not a ticket, because I've learned this, because what I got was a ticket, and that's when they issue the citation directly to the court, and then they issue that citation to the person, and it's in the court's process at that point. What the Legion had received, and sorry I mixed it up.
That's okay.
What is a civil infraction citation? Basically a warning, but it stays within the township, and you could either deny responsibility, or you could go pay that and accept responsibility, and you pay the township directly to what's called the Violations Ordinance Bureau. And what they issued the American Legion was a citation, in fact. So there was no there was no action that took it into court immediately, but that was issued and it just sat there.
Okay.
No real action was being taken. Nothing was moving forward on it. So when I came into office, it was one of the things I thought we needed to get off the books and get behind us, move forward, as you said.
When was that when was that citation issued?
That would have been in, probably around July of 24. It seemed like it came in right around the same time.
Does that sound right to you, Bob?
That's pretty close, maybe
Okay.
June. It was
Okay.
shortly after Joe Douse left.
Okay. All right. So
Real shortly after.
Okay.
wasn't
It was one of the first
March,
things that they
June.
did when Hohenstein was
That's in fact
appointed
correct.
to the
Okay,
position.
so
It
he
was one
was-
of the first things he did.
which was to write the citation
Issue.
Violate the Legion.
Yeah.
You know?
for the asphalt shavings, or was that asphalt shavings or gravel that they put on there?
Asphalt millings.
Okay, Melanie, sorry. So, and that's not permanent change, okay? But now, and then it
Keeps
went
the
to
mud off your
yes,
shoes, right?
exactly. So they went to a site, so they wrote the citation and it just sat there and nothing else was done. And then when you came on board, you brought it up, you wanted to get it off the books, correct?
Yeah, so I actually did something that apparently hasn't been done very often, and maybe never, is I made a motion to dismiss a ticket, essentially overriding the zoning administrator's decision. And it brought up a very important question, was does the board have the authority to overrule the zoning administrator?
I don't think they do.
We do.
And it's a question with an answer that hasn't been pushed through. I would say it's a gray area, but I would say the zoning administrator or code enforcement officer serve at the pleasure of the board. So it's not the zoning enforcement officer taking somebody to court, it's the board taking somebody to court. So if the board wants to step away from that financial pursuit, I would say it's well within the rights of the board to
I think
do
it's
so.
up to you guys if you want to pursue it to go to court or whatnot, but I do not think you can order a zoning officer. I think I looked that up and I don't think you can, but I think you're right. You can decide you don't want to pursue it anymore or not take it to court or whatnot. And it could, I mean, technically stay there until, the statute of limitations makes it expire. But having said that, what then happened? So you tried to get it off the books and it was voted down?
Yep.
Yeah, it was it initially voted down? Yes, under motion it was voted down.
Okay.
And we were basically told that we didn't have the authority to do that. And so there it died. The motion died. So maybe a month or two down the road at a following board meeting, after some research of my own to answer that very question, do we have the authority? And I was told the ordinance provides that authority, or provides that wording that we don't have the authority. And everywhere I looked, I just couldn't find that answer. So I brought it forth in a resolution, in a formal motion. And at that point there was some discussion on it, and the resolution was tabled until a legal opinion on it. So that's essentially where it's sitting, but somehow in between my motion to table the resolution for a legal opinion, and now I've seen on WHMI that the township's attorneys have offered an olive branch to the Legion. Basically, you sign this piece of paper that you won't use that parking area, and we will go ahead and approve your other fence permit that you applied for that we denied you of.
What B word are you guys thinking of out there in the audience land? I know the one I'm thinking of.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Oh, I know.
Yes. That one. Ding, ding, ding. Winner. So oh my God. So the Legion had then put forth another request, and instead of, it wouldn't get approved until this other thing was
somewhere in the midst they applied for
to repair the
fence repair, or a permit to repair their fence. They were denied because they had this outstanding zoning issue. But the question is, how come that zoning issue again had been sitting there and sitting there and sitting there?
Right.
Nobody's doing anything.
And
with
I
it.
remember hearing or reading in there somewhere that the board was waiting for that the response from the attorney, from Tara Black Pearson, who is the attorney for the American Legion. Her response is, we don't have to do anything here, you know, because I guess the township had said, well, they're not responding to us, or they're not whatever, and the Legion said, there's nothing we can do. They either get to go to court or it dies, but they're not doing anything. So they've issued this citation, but they've not done anything to enforce it. So it's either there or it's going to die. So now they're holding hostage the fence to get this promise not to do this. Now I want to say this is where my research comes in. This property that they're talking about is MDOT's property. That's huge. The township does not get to object about something going on MDOT's property on behalf of MDOT unless MDOT first then complains. Has MDOT, to your knowledge, complained that there are asphalt millings or shavings or whatever there's there? Have they made any kind of formal complaint that they don't want the Legion to do this?
They have not, and I was actually on site when 2 MDOT guys were there with myself and Mark Epley, Bobby Bright, and one other person.
Okay.
And they told us straight up, we don't care what you do on right-of-way property up until the day we decide to put a roundabout here or whatever.
That's right.
As long as it's not permanent.
Right.
And they do not consider gravel permanent.
No.
They told us, this is where their exact words, it's no different than dirt to us.
Right. So they can't legally give you permission because of that puts liability on it, but they're not moving forward to enforce any kind of anything. You could, the political signs and all that stuff, Christmas trees, I think you guys do there on in Christmas time. So again, my question here is, where they have no standing. You know, it's like on somebody made a complaint about your tractor or your business, right? So you have a person A, whoever that is, doesn't matter who it was, but person A makes a complaint. But it's not, I mean, it'd be like that. Then the township has a right and has standing to come in and investigate, right? That's just the way it works. But for township to then say, on behalf of person A, because I don't like that you're on, on behalf of person A without a complaint, you are, we feel like you're infringing on this person's property when the person hasn't complained, which is exactly what's going on here. So there's no permanent structure there. If they put asphalt down, they put concrete, okay, now you got a different story that 141 needs to do what they need to do. That then becomes a legal battle, because I think I gotta believe that's why it hasn't progressed. Because there's no standing. So they're just kind of hoping to, I don't know, abuse them into it or have a Mexican standoff or what? Who knows?
I really
Barely
don't
hold up
know
your
why
fence?
it hasn't been pushed into the court. And
Well,
if it is a gray area, if it's a complex issue, then my opinion is the court's the best place to hear that.
Right.
And if the township feels so strongly that the case is right by the ordinance, and let's go to court. But as I see it, this is a civil matter between two property owners. If the MDOT, if the state of Michigan has an issue with the American Legion using that property, I believe there's legal channels that they could pursue.
Absolutely.
I try to give other hypotheticals because it is a unique situation. So take the rest area on 96, for example. That's within Howell Township. You know, you can't get to it without going down the highway. But if I drove out to the rest stop and I decide to put up a shed on the rest stop's property, would the township come in and write me a ticket for doing that?
No, but MDOT would complain.
Would say, hey, you can't do that, and we'll go to court.
MDOT could actually go to the township and report it. They could do that, because it is within Howell Township. But you're right, the township can't on its own go do something like that. It's got to be a complaint from MDOT. And if MDOT has not complained, the township has no standing, and they need to be out of there.
What I would say is, if again, if the township feels so strongly about it, I would issue the ticket to the property owner. And then if MDOT has the conflict with what's going on, they can pursue it from there.
I don't even, frankly,
But
I don't.
I think that would probably die too.
Yeah, but still, I mean, if you think about it, even, I mean, the asphalt shavings are not, in and of itself, wrong.
They're not burdensome. To
Yeah,
the
they're
community,
not
right?
they're
This
not
is-
against. Yeah, it's just that they don't want the expansion of the parking lot, so they're picking on that, and they've already declared they don't want the expansion, but it's only a temporary thing, so it's.
This is a personal war, though. This is a personal war between a couple of people at the township, including Hohenstein, and a couple of people at the American Legion that don't like each other.
Okay.
So-
That's what it sounds like here. All right, well, let's get some reactions here. We have Joni. Wow, simply wow. Yes, Joni, my sentiments exactly. Let's see. Aaron Curry wants to know, how do you guys think the new zoning officer will handle the issue at the Legion? Well, of course, that's just speculation.
Yeah, I don't even think he'll be in a position to get involved at this point because there is still an outstanding ticket. So anything he would bring in would be for or after knowledge,
Okay.
I would say, which would serve no purpose.
Right. Rob wants to know, what's the YouTube channel that you got in trouble for doing?
Well, Speakeasy Speed Shop, I believe is what it is.
Speakeasy Speech Shop?
Speed Shop. That's what.
Oh,
that's
Speed.
the name of his business.
Okay,
Speakeasy
Speakeasy
Speed
Speed
Shop.
All right, okay. All right, so, and then we have, can the 141 file a lawsuit on the township for harassment? That's a very good question. I'm surprised they haven't. I believe they have other revenues they're going to pursue at this point. It might be a little easier. So I suspect they can.
Please don't.
No, because that
our
just
township doesn't need to
Right.
spend any more on.
Right.
But
I think
let's try to get this
they
resolved.
probably got, yes, that's the word. That's my favorite word is reasonable. Let's just be reasonable. Let's just make the community better. And if allowing more veterans to be there and you're not putting up a permanent structure, just get out of there. Hull Township defines a parking area for commercial properties to be asphalt or concrete. Will not recognize, what does that mean? Will not recognize asphalt milling as a parking area. No, I don't think it is. I think you're right. They requested to expand, they were denied. All right, they didn't. They threw parts on the grass. And it's not permanent at any given time, as Bob said. MDOT comes in and says, get them off. We're gonna put a roundabout here, or we're gonna put a curb, or whatever they're gonna do. The American Legion will have to, without question, take it all back. Correct?
I would say.
Yeah.
The state's never complained.
No.
It back to Mr. Curry's question there. What I would say he's getting at is, if you came into the township, you built a business, and you had to put a parking lot in, you would be required to either use concrete or asphalt, packed asphalt.
Right.
Simply putting down millings would not constitute a parking area. So if that is in fact the case, that it is not a acceptable parking lot, then how are we possibly issuing a ticket for expanding a parking lot?
That would be the $1 million question. So
and here's the biggest problem I have, Deb, is the ordinances, to me, seem to be forever binding and more binding. And what we're talking about here at the root of all this is, as you said, it's rocks on grass, it's rocks on dirt. How silly of an argument to have.
Especially, and I don't believe in favoritism. I don't. And I think that, like I said, if the American Legion would have started pouring concrete, fittings on there or whatever, putting rebar into the ground, now we got some problems here. And I don't think anyone, including the veterans, would argue that they were within their rights to do this. I mean, I will say this about veterans. By and large, they know where boundaries are. They fought for those rights, and they fought for the laws, and they don't just cross easily. So at least I know the Howell Township or the 141 does not. So here you got a group that's okay. We will follow the rule. We're not gonna in the middle of the night, sneak our asphalt over about 5 feet and do it 5 feet at a time and make it dusty and nobody know. They just said, okay, fine. We'll just throw the rocks down on the dirt and we'll park there until we ever get to buy the land back or whatever we're going to do. So, they've done within their rights. But like I said, I really believe that your Mr. Hohenstein has just stepped in it so deep. And now here's the biggest problem. If you can't say, whoops, all right, I screwed up. I think it's now more about saving face than it is about resolve the issue, realize you shouldn't have done it. And instead of trying the little backdoor, well, if you do this, because if he signed a letter, then that means forever and ever, Mr. Hohenstein can wave the little winning flag saying, aha, see, I beat him. And that's not right, especially with that veterans organization. They did the right things. They didn't do what you told them not to. They did something that was legitimate, and you didn't have a right to get in there and complain about it. They're not blocking traffic with it. They're not doing things that would give you a right to step in and say this is a hazardous situation. So
funny thing last night, they're all worried about losing their voting location at the EMS building.
Right.
So, they're just scrambling to try and find a place. And I'm like, well, you could use the American Legion. They probably let you hold an election. And then the comment from the, the clerk, their parking lot's not big enough.
Well, isn't that special?
I thought it was awesome.
That's a little bit, yeah. Ironic. Okay, well, that was good. I'm gonna hold on to that one. That's a funny one. So, anyway, so it just seems like there's drama with, like I said, he said, she said, back and forth. But, when I look at the whole thing and okay, this one doesn't like this one doesn't like this one, we don't like, the centerpiece seems to be this treasurer. And if this treasurer would back up and just get out of the way, I think everything else would just fall into place. You'd still have maybe little squabbles, but they wouldn't be. There's little squabbles in a township, and then there's squabbles that cost, I don't know, $33,000 in the attorney fees just to fight something that's a $100 ticket. My God, stop. That's craziness. And that's, my husband and I, we have an observation about elected officials that do things like that it's the principle of it. We have to keep going. It's the principle. And what that is, we call that OPM disease. And that's basically other people's money. They're spending other people's money. It's easy to spend because it's not theirs. And would they do that in their own home? No, they would not. So they do that they do that with the taxpayers' money. And as Republicans, we don't believe in that. And we don't believe in, I'm the first one to respect a tough decision. I make tough decisions, hard calls all the time. And so I applaud those organizations that do the right thing or make the tough call. But then when what do they say when you're down in a pit, you've dug in a hole, the first step is stop digging. And I don't think your guys stop. I don't think he's ready to stop just yet.
They only care about winning. They want to win. They want to be the guy up here looking down on everybody else.
Well, yes, that's what we're talking about. He there, but yes, that's not a good position. An elected, we talked last week about leadership, and I put up what's called, and I actually focused on a page too, what's called Leadership Pie. And it's basically the characteristics that you want in leaders. And as the Republican Party, our job is to get Republicans elected and to make sure they stay elected and make sure they're prepared for the election and what they need to do. And the leadership pie that we put forward are very simple principles about things like don't fight to win, fight to, resolve. Don't fault and blame. You just work on resolution. If you work on resolution and you fix a problem, it's sort of like, and the analogy I give is, it's like everybody has had a relationship a personal relationship with could be a spouse or it could be a boyfriend or girlfriend, but by now it's usually an ex-spouse or an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, where you have that fight and you have an argument and you're arguing over who's parking where or what way the toilet paper is supposed to roll or whatever, who, being late or being on time, when you're supposed to be on time and you're making me wait all the time. That is, you have that argument about that's my parking spot, or you agreed to do this. You're not doing it. You're not living up to it. And if you're debating or fighting about the issue, when it's resolved, you walk away. But everybody's had that relationship where during the fight, they call you stupid, or they call you an ignorant, or they call you an idiot, or they say you're a witch or a jerk, or they start throwing the personal insults. And it is eventually you're going to resolve. All right, I will start coming on time. I will park here. I will flip the toilet paper over, which is by the right way, over. So you agree to that sort of thing, and you walk away and you forget the problem. But you know what you remember? You remember that you were called a bitch. You remember that you were called stupid. You remember that you were told you never do anything right. Nobody likes you. It's that drama that it stays with you. Even though the problem's resolved, you walk away and you still got that in your head. That's what we call baggage. And at that point, what you do is you form what we call the green fuzzy filter. And you've now got to filter that person. And this happens not just in relationships, but anytime you have a negative opinion about somebody, you now have a filter. And everything that person says or does comes through that filter, and it gets into your head with green fuzz on it. And it could be that in that job or that particular next statement is innocent or whatever, but that's not how you're going to hear it, because it's got all that fault and blame and drama and baggage attached to it. So you can't move forward like that. It's just a matter of it's this, and it just continues. So I think your board, it's the same thing I would say to the other townships that are kind of at war right now. They haven't got quite to the point you guys are, but they're headed there, and that is this: just come up with some agreements on how to resolve differences, because you're useless as a board if you're just fighting to win. So just do what you got to do to resolve it. Don't worry about whose fault it is. What will fix the issue? So in the Howell Township situation, or as far as what would fix the issue with the 141?
Well, there's
without worrying about whose fault, but what'll fix the issue?
Drop the violation. No, we have the authority to do that.
Yes, you do.
It sounds easy, right?
It is, unless you need to win.
Change the personalities that are holding it back.
Well,
I think one thing that's been said in the past is fix the ordinance. And if the ordinance is the root of the issue here that's bringing the case forward, and we're hung up on that, and perhaps we can look at the ordinance to make it fit the situation.
Well, and that's what I said when I was there, and I said, it's all well and good to have an ordinance and to stick with it, but you guys have the pens.
We're the legislators.
You are.
We're writing the laws, and
that's my little pet peeve. You're not legislators. You are trustees, but you are being trusted with the ordinances, the holding on to the ordinances. That and you have the pens. So that is, to me, that's the answer right there. Fix the ordinance so it's clear. Get a what's remember that thing you used to have? It's not an Etch-a-Sketch, but the little paper you had, you draw on it, you could lift that little cellophane, it would get rid of everything. What were those called? That's what it needs to do. Whoosh, do over.
Peel the leaf off.
Yeah, you peel that thing. Okay, well, anyway, so what was the last? Well, Mr. Coddington, we aren't really discussing you, so you come in here now and you open a door. So I've made it very clear we don't attack Republicans, and we're not talking about Republicans. So we don't coming in here and asking the last time the party had a treasurer on the ticket. That's that's not good. Let's not go there, okay? Because we have lots of treasurers. I've helped elect many treasurers on our ticket. So
He appointed one, so.
it's okay. We're not talking about him. So we have not talked about you, and we have not talked about any other Republican. We are talking about your treasurer. So that's my official statement to you. So yeah, let's not go there. Anyway, so we have some issues, and I really believe that it needs to. But like I said, you know, there's a lot of he said, she said, and there's probably some good stuff and some, if you're going to use the word fault, there's some responsibility on everyone's part that everybody contributed to this mess somehow. But at this point, all that stuff's got to go away. You just focus on how to fix it and move forward, how to work together, how to not tear each other's heads off, and just hear, make your standard what is best for your community. That's what you do. That's what you're entrusted. The word trustee comes from somewhere. It means you are entrusted to do that. And your treasurer, to take all that stuff on and then he just seems to be in the center of all that strife with well, it's this person's fault because it's, he doesn't get along with Bob, or he doesn't get along with Shane, or he's, fighting Shane in court. And well, then the Allegiant, and then, at some point you got to say to yourself,
there's a common denominator.
If that was removed, would these other issues, at least to this degree, exist? Don't know. So anyway, so that's it. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add? Did I miss anything? I mean, like I said, it's the different hats, it's the outrageous money,
and the desire to win.
There's two things I think I would like to mention,
Okay.
and one of them is back to the subject at hand, and that is the HR committee factor within our townships. And
Okay.
I'm sure Howell Township's not the only one with an HR committee.
No.
In many cases, these HR committees debate, discuss, and form issues brought before the board. And in Howell Township specifically, we have 3 board members that are part of that HR committee. So anything that gets pushed forward out of that HR committee has pretty good chances when it comes forward to the board to be put to a motion. Of a board of 7, we only would need 1 more vote out of those 3 members, or in addition to those 3 members, to push anything through. So, which brings me to my next point. If you don't like where your township's heading, if you don't feel good about the direction, get involved. Show up to these township meetings. I mean, there's just so many meetings where there's crickets. We got nothing but crickets out there. So get involved, get in there, tell us what you think. I assure you, you don't want just the 7 of us steering the ship here. We need the community's input.
Yeah.
So, get in here and let us know what you think, and let us know how we're doing and how our treasurer's
And
doing.
you meet at Howell Township Hall on Byron Road in Barron, correct?
Byron and Barron, is that right, Bob?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I used to ride my horse there years ago. So, and what days do you meet? You meet at the same time as the commission, so it'd be 2nd and 4th Monday?
Yeah, it's pretty well on par with the city council meetings.
Yeah.
So,
Why? What is up with this? Why you can only go to one? What's going on here? I know.
I'm gonna pay attention when we approve that schedule next year.
You go to 1st and 3rd, more people can come. Everybody's either a commission or council.
Yeah, I don't think it's an accident.
No.
I seen a bumper sticker 40 years ago when I was in the middle. Longer than that, I'm getting old. But anyway, I seen a bumper sticker a really long time ago, and what the bumper sticker said, it took me years to figure out what it meant. And what the bumper sticker said is, if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. Please start paying attention to what these government agencies are doing with your money. It's your money.
Yeah, well, we're going to be paying attention. This is, we have a lot of Howell Township members, and I know, I mean, I normally don't I haven't stepped into the other townships that having problems, and I'm, other than to show up and basically say, come on, guys, I don't like Republicans fighting, and I darn sure don't like Republicans insulting the candidates that we've gotten elected either. So, but I don't like them. I don't like it because it opens a door for Democrats to get appointed, and I don't want that. So I very politely and very kindly requested that, look, get 72 pizzas and get in a room and don't come out until you figured out how to resolve. It's not, are you right or are you right? It is, how do we resolve? And it's, you have a policy for your ordinance, right? Do you have a policy for how to resolve a problem? Without those policies, it's not gonna, it's just a matter of, it's fighting to win versus fighting, or debating to resolve, which is really the standards that a professional, I invite all of the township trustees to go to a commission meeting and to watch the debate that goes on. And those, when you look at them, you think that they all go out and have drinks afterwards, and they don't. And they have some have more in common than others, and there's a wide spectrum of beliefs, and this one wants this and this one doesn't, and this one thinks we need it, and this one says it costs too much. And there is respectable debate at all times. It is, at least it hasn't been in a while, where somebody throws somebody else under the bus or whatnot. But they do have disagreements, very much like most bodies do. But there is a level of professionalism that these disagreements, and here's the other rule: if you're going to be an elected official, raise your hand and vote. When the vote's over, win or lose, move on. Let it go, move on. And just, but you can't have all this drama and expect to get reelected. And I'll tell you, I listened to one official, not in Howell Township, but I listened to one official. I got sent these, a lot of these, I get sent your videos, I get sent their videos, I get sent for these videos. What's going on here? And I watched one guy say, not in Howell Township, well, this many people that elected me, and apparently this person was the top vote getter in that particular township, and they want this. And I thought to myself, it was the belief that since that many people elected you, therefore you can do what you want to do. And I will tell you something. I remember my father telling me when I got my first job, and I went home and told him about, they all think I was the greatest ever. And he said, my father was not known for giving sage advice, but for this particular time, he told me something I'll never forget. And he said, Deborah Lynn, which is the serious addression, Deborah Lynn, let me tell you something. A pat on the back is about 18 inches away from a kick in a can. Never forget that. And basically, you're only as good as your last sale in an elected position. So I don't care how many people elected you. If the optics are bad, there's no re-election, and worse, there's recall coming. And I know there's some serious talk about recall coming. So I just urge everybody, a recall is also something that doesn't look good. So I really don't want any township going through a recall if we can stop it. So I just urge everybody, get in a room, resolve everything, get a conflict expert in. They do them all the time. There's lots of them out there. I can recommend some if you're looking for one, but get in a room and basically figure out how to solve these problems, because the talk is out there, and it's going to go if things don't get better. So I don't want to see anybody recalled, even Mr. Hohenstein. I'd rather he just worked with everybody and just stop wearing all these hats. You're elected to be a treasurer, be a treasurer. Get somebody else to be a zoning administrator. 6 figures as a treasurer is crazy, especially and I'm looking forward. When does your new enforcement officer start?
Well, he was hired as of last night, so I would imagine it could be within the week when he hits the ground running. But I believe they estimated he's only going to be about 10 hours a week, so I think we could probably go back and see how many hours our code enforcement.
We'll be doing that.
We'll find out.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, is anything else you want to say, Bob or Shane, before we sign off here?
Thanks for your time, folks.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Make sure you come to make sure, like I said, my phone has been blowing up about you guys for 2-3 months now. And like I said, it takes a lot for me to step in. But like I said, with the level of wasted the level of wasted money and the wasted time. And for me, it is the threat of recall. And then, you give something like this to the Democrats and all of a sudden it's, wow, see, those Republicans can't do their job. So you know what? I don't like that. And, whether somebody else agrees with me or not, we have some very strong candidates in Livingston County, and I'm very proud to support them. So I want to continue doing that. So anyway, that's my take on it. And, I want all our Republican candidates and townships to do well. It's a shining, if all the Republican townships are working together and they're getting stuff done, or even if they're disagreeing but being professional about it, it's a shining star. It makes Livingston County stand out as this awesome community. But this kind of stuff, it's a blemish, it's a black mark, and it's embarrassing. It's very embarrassing. It's embarrassing to say this is what's going on in our shining star. But we have the shining star of a county, but then we've got this little pocket here of drama.
A big bruise.
Yeah, a big bruise is right. So, all right, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks again. Thanks, Judge Warren, for showing up. And thanks always, Tyler Hammock, who's my right hand over here that helps out doing a lot of the things that I can't do with the keyboard. So appreciate that. Have a good night.